Hey, welcome to another episode of Amp Up Solar Talk. Today we're diving into BigBattery's Husky 2. It's a battery built for adventure, off-grid applications, and high-performance solar applications. Joining us today is Marshall from BigBattery, and he's here to answer your questions. So be sure and drop them in the chat throughout the show. Marshall, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So to start us off, for those who may not be familiar, tell us about who BigBattery is and who they are, what sets them apart in the energy storage industry.
Yeah, so BigBattery has been around for about 7 years. We've been building batteries for golf cart, off-grid solar. We have on-grid solar now. We have a lot of applications where as a core is our lithium battery business as a core. So our batteries go in lots of different applications all over America.
Very cool. So what's your role at BigBattery and what led you into the battery manufacturing industry?
Yeah, I'm the CTO, so I'm kind of head of design, engineering, safety, make sure product reliability, quality control, all the other things that when you're building batteries, right? So my role, I'm originally from NASA. So I'm an aerospace engineer, 12 years,
Nice.
a project manager in Houston. And then just figured I'd start a company in batteries because there weren't a lot of good options back then. And I figured that with some good design, you can get some really good products. And so a little bit tired of seeing like cheap Chinese batteries that fail with no warranty, no support. And so, yeah, I decided to found this company with my partner.
Very nice. Well, your innovation is obvious. As we begin to talk about the Husky 2, this is a 24-volt version. You've got 12-volt versions and you've got 48-volt versions, but it doesn't look anything like the normal 12-volt versions that we see in cars or marine batteries. It doesn't look like our wall mount batteries. It doesn't look like your typical solar rack version. So tell us what inspired the design of the Husky 2 line.
Well, we tried to build something that was extremely versatile because we build batteries for so many different things where it has all the features. So we've been in business for a long time. We've been hearing the customer, and the customer tells us a lot of feedback, right? So here's all the things that would make your battery even better. Or I have an application that has, I'm in an RV in the winter and I need a heater in my battery. So we put a heater in the battery. I want to be able to monitor it if they're in a boat and they're on top and they want to see it like in Bluetooth and see their entire bank. So we put in a Bluetooth app. Waterproof, of course, being able to read the state of charge from the LED right on top. So you don't have to put a voltmeter on it. You don't have to connect it to anywhere. You can just literally turn it off. A lot of the features that we were told, it would be great if we had that. We decided to put all of it in this one product. And there's a lot more that I haven't even said that we can talk about in a bit. So yeah, we decided to make it in 12, 24, and 48. So once we came out with a really good design we thought was the best in the industry, let's make it in all the different voltages to fit the applications that people need. And those voltages to match the applications, like the golf cart version in 48 has a really high power BMS that can, deliver the loads you need so your golf cart doesn't, shut off or anything like that. So,
well, welcome to April, where we're doing our mobile solar series, and you've already mentioned quite a few of the design features. What makes this the perfect battery for our mobile solar series?
So a lot of batteries today, they'll put in an RV and they're not actually designed for mobility. So this product has been shock tested. So I ran the vibroacoustic lab at NASA. So we do shock testing, which is an impact, and so it can be dropped. I mean, don't do it because it's not recommended, but it's designed to take an impact. It's designed to take an intense vibration. It's in military applications where they're off-roading. So this is meant to take the abuse. If you're putting in a battery that is not meant for mobility in a mobile application, you're risking wires coming loose. You're risking, them being bent over and over and cracking, and it could be a safety issue, right? So designing something for mobility means you got to put it on a test bench. You got to do analysis. You got to do structural, analysis and design work on the product. So that's what we've done to make this a mobile application battery. In addition, we have a really versatile mounting situation. So if you kind of see, there's these 3 hole patterns on every edge. So this right here, it comes with these handles, which you can lift the battery and drop it in a bay, but then you can remove this bracket and you can fasten it in any orientation. So right there, you can put it on the side. You can mount it on the front. You can mount this to a wall, or you can pivot it in any angle or upward. So it can really just fit any type of battery bay. You can orient it in any way, and you can mount it in every direction, from mounting it to the wall, to the floor, from any different side.
So it doesn't just have to sit flat in this orientation like it is.
That's right. That's
it
right.
It can be mounted on its back. It can be mounted on its side.
Yeah, depending on what, I mean, everything is completely sealed and tight in there. So it doesn't matter what orientation you put it into. If you have more than one battery, there's a little plate that's on the side right here that it comes with that you can remove, and you can lock multiple batteries together like that. So it's a really structural tight, and these are metal, these are not plastic. So you can really lock them together and have a really sturdy, reliable product.
Very cool. So we do have some audience questions that are coming in. Charles Hirsch wants to know, are you guys manufacturing in the US or planning to?
Yeah, so some of our batteries right now, when we first bring a battery to market, we have manufacturing partners. Some of our batteries right now are being manufactured in the US. So we have full quality control assembly, we have cycle testing, we have module drop-in, we have BMS test machines, we have every type of test and design machine under the sun. We test hundreds of BMSs, we test hundreds of different cells until we find the right product for the application. And then depending on as we mature a product, we bring more and more of the manufacturing in-house. So our manufacturing plant is in 400 Maple Street in Commerce, Texas. Okay. So we actually moved, if there's questions about that, well, you're a California company. We did move to Texas to be more efficient in our manufacturing, and then just be able to bring these products to market at an extremely value-driven cost.
For those who are new to solar and new to batteries, we use a lot of acronyms. Talk to us a little bit about what BMS means.
Oh, battery management system. So what you'll see right here on the top, it kind of looks like it's higher up, and there's a computer board in here, and there's a computer board that has a BMS dongle in it, and you're able to communicate. So right here you'll see RS485. So this is like a Cat6 cable that you can use to connect to your inverter. It has 16 different inverter options, protocols.
Cat6 is just like a regular Ethernet cable?
A regular Ethernet cable. You can use it to plug in. It comes with the Ethernet cable, so you don't need to buy one. But if you need a longer cable, it's a standard cable. And it's compatible. So this is a computer that tells the inverter, like, here's the state, here's how much current you're running, here's how the current voltage, here's how much percentage of capacity is remaining on the charge. And it communicates with the EG4 inverter. It communicates with Victron is another popular one, especially for RV, and then Growatt and Solarc, all the major inverters, 16 different protocols. So it's, again, versatility, right? That's kind of that computer inside does all the battery management protections that like a lead acid battery doesn't have. So you're protecting it from over voltage, over current, under voltage, over temperature, under temperature. Of course, it has a heater, so if it's under temperature, it's going to still operate and everything and be able to charge. But it controls all of that and makes sure that everything is working as it should and safely.
So that BMS battery management system, it allows it to do what it needs to do to protect the battery and protect your connected equipment as well.
It really makes it foolproof. You can drop a wrench across the leads, and it'll be a tiny spark, and then it'll go into short circuit protection, right? So it even has these higher level protections that a lot of the batteries don't have, where they've accidentally, put, wire got crossed or whatever, and they blow their battery. It also has a feature that almost no battery has. So if you another feature, if you over discharge the battery, there's some of our competitors, especially in RV, they will brick the battery and you cannot start it. You can't put a voltage on it, will not restart. On this battery, you can actually turn it off and on, and it goes into a reset function. It has a little bit of buffer power back there, so it'll turn the battery on even in the lowest voltage setting. You can turn it on, and then you can start charging the battery. So if you accidentally leave it too long, and then you've gone all the way into BMS protection and further than that, you can still turn this battery on. So that's a safety thing also, right?
Lots of safety features.
Yeah.
I like that. So what are the ways that you can charge this battery, even once it goes into the protection mode?
So because of the versatility, we've designed it to be like a lead acid drop-in replacement. So it has what's called a wide voltage range. It's not just specific voltage. You can use a voltage range, and still, if you're within that range, you're safely charging it, and you're also getting full charge. So there's a couple volts in there. So if you have a tunable, if you have a lead acid charger and you have to use a lead acid charger in some kind of machine, right? You can't switch it out. Typically it's within that voltage range, and you can still charge this battery from a lead acid charger. It might be a little slower, but it will, overnight you can charge a floor sweeper or something like that, right, with the existing charger. So it also comes with its own charger, but if you're inside that voltage range, obviously you can program an inverter to be within that range, or you can also charge it from like the AC alternator in a vehicle, as long as it's giving you that. Otherwise, there's mechanisms out there that will kind of tune, like you can buy them online. They're cheap, that you can tune the voltage a little bit. If it's a little too high, you can control it down a little bit. So that's out there.
Sounds pretty versatile to even be able to use a lead acid battery charger.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. We have some other questions that have come in from the audience. Sunbaby wants to know, is ventilation needed, or can I install it in a sealed compartment? This
is completely sealed. So the cells are sealed, and within this entire case is sealed. So it does not need any venting. It is meant to heat sink out in its own right. So it does not need to be in a vented container at all. It does have a high temperature operating temperature, and if you exceed that, the BMS can shut off. It's at like 140 degrees. It's pretty hot. So as long as it's not in direct sun and it's not getting a ton of heat, it should be able to withstand quite a bit.
Nice. Also, East Texas Homestead wants to know, what type of warranty does the battery have?
BigBattery has a 12-year warranty. It's one of the best in the industry. But what's better than that is, being an American company, obviously, like Signature, we will support the warranty for as long as needed. We're going to be very honest about our warranty. We have a repair center if there is an issue right here in Texas. We take the battery back and we repair it, and we can send it back to the customer, or send them a refurb or our newest product line. So we're very customer oriented in our warranty, and we have a very high level of reputation and withhold. So it's uphold. So we make sure that that's taken care of, and that's not going to ever be a concern of our customers.
There you go. Okay. Thomas Whitaker wants to know, any future plan for rack mount battery?
BigBattery is considering a high voltage rack mount battery. We're in beta right now of that product, but it's not being released and so yet. But just look out for it, because it's a high voltage rack mount with a control box. That is something that is coming.
You heard it here first. Okay, so what is the difference between power between the Husky2 lithium and its lead acid?
So a lot of people, yeah. So there's arguments out there that lead acid is cheaper. Out the door, it might be slightly cheaper, but the economics don't make sense at all for lead acid anymore. If you actually look at the usable capacity of a lithium battery, it's 80–85% of its charge. Where if you try to do that with a lead acid battery, good luck. It's going to last for a few months and it's going to be dead, or even and then you won't be able to charge it. So when you compare lead acid to lithium, you think about that in the capacity, you're getting at least double. It's also a lot more efficient, right? 98% efficient, 96% efficient, somewhere in that range, depending on how fast you're putting the power in and out. Where lead acid batteries are, 25% efficiency loss on every charge, and they don't hold that power. Lead acid batteries, they self-degrade every year about 30%. So whether you use them or not, at 100 amp hour and you're at 50% depth of discharge as recommended, now you're at 50 amp hour. Now you're down to, after 1 year, you're down 30%, and then 30% of that. And that's why they only last 2 or 3 years, because they shelf degrade and they cycle degrade. And when you combine them, there's just not a really good product for something that's actually being used to store power.
Do lithium degrade at all? So as they sit?
So they don't really shelf degrade more than about 1 to 2% a year.
1 to 2%.
So 30 down to 1 to 2. And then this is guaranteed to be at 80% after 10 years. So that's an 80%. That's quite a long lifespan. So
with a 12-year warranty.
With a 12-year warranty. So the design life is much higher.
Yeah.
But the warranty is at 12, right?
Okay. So I know that these batteries are being used in a lot of different applications. What is the typical use for these types of batteries?
So there's a 48-volt golf cart version. That's a big portion of it. RV is a huge one for us.
What size RV?
So all different sizes. So you can add as many batteries as you want.
Mm-hmm.
So if your RV, if you're one of the old school 12 volts, or if you've upgraded to like 48 volt to power everything, power your air conditioner, power everything, this can do that for you. The 48 volt version can power all your systems for the largest RV. So these are powering movie sets in LA, because we came from California. They're powering all like remote power applications. They're powering, well, let's talk about what's most used first. So
Okay.
What's most used, we talked about RV, we talked about golf cart. There's a lot of marine. These are going into floor sweepers. You'd be surprised to see like how many different little machines are in 24 volt that use it. A lot of like pallet jack sort of machines, they've put this battery in. They're really, really popular on the 24 volt version. It's become just a thing recently. They're going out like crazy to the roadside hazard signs. So the ones on the side of the road with the little solar panel.
Mm-hmm.
This battery is perfect for that application, and the market's noticing that. Similar to that, it's like the security trailers you see in like parking lots of like Walmart in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
That battery is in thousands of those. So as people realize that lead acid just doesn't make sense anymore, and they want to move to a lithium, it's not that much more out the door, but it lasts a multitude longer,
mm-hmm.
right? And it's not just like how long it lasts. It's also, you're not having to go switch it out every 2-3 years, and the work and maintenance involved in flooded lead acid, like adding electrolyte, all
mm-hmm.
all that's gone, right? So if you really put it together, it's like a multiple of value that you get off of lithium as opposed to lead acid.
Yeah. So in our mobile solar series, Marshall, we've talked about retrofitting school buses. We've talked about fifth wheels. We've talked about truck camper toppers. But you've opened up a whole new realm of possibilities with, the traffic signs and things like that. It's still mobile power. So this is a really cool application. What are some of the most interesting things you've seen them used in?
So they're used a lot in food trucks,
mm-hmm.
and any kind of like mobile application where there's usually solar. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes they just charge it and they go out and do something. There's a YouTube video. Some guy did a tattoo truck, I guess.
A tattoo truck.
A tattoo truck. It's used dialysis. It's
mm-hmm.
The mobile dialysis. A lot of them use these. That's become a thing.
Okay.
A lot of mobile medical, like blood draw.
Mm-hmm. Things
like that. So the medical, I think the reliability thing is really important.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of found a little niche in like that kind of thing. It's I guess like FEMA disaster trailers. There's a
mm-hmm. lot.
There's some batteries in those. Lots of applications. I mean, we just build the battery, and it's not like it's this cool box, but what you power is really the cool story behind it, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's really cool. Do you have any? We've seen a lot of innovation. I mean, this doesn't look like any other battery out there. Well, we do have one more question come in before I get to my question. Sun Baby wants to know, how does this battery handle vibration and off-road abuse?
Yeah, so this has been shock tested and vibration tested,
mm-hmm.
and we have a lot of real world data. I mean, we actually put accelerometers on it. We did a lot, because you got to realize there's some applications. Okay, well, there's some military applications, right? There's some out there powering mobile telecom in remote sites and things like that.
Okay.
And they do their own testing, so it's past those testing. So there's also some other contracts that require that. So I mean, NASA Vibro acoustic engineer, right? Mobile battery. That's kind of, I was able to know exactly what to do to design it correctly and then prove it with our test.
Right.
So all of our testing, yeah.
Transferring that knowledge in a way that makes sense.
Right.
Great. So any planned updates or new features for the Husky2 line?
So our 48 volt version right now is made for golf cart, and it has a high-powered BMS. So we're coming out with so we said it was in 12, 24, and 48.
Right.
The 48-volt version that's coming out is going to be the inverter comms, just like the 12 and 24 have inverter communications. The new 48-volt version that I think Signature is going to feature as they're going to launch the product, that is going to have inverter communication. So that's coming very soon. I would say in another 60 days at the latest.
So it's going to talk to the inverter and closed loop communication?
Right. So the 48 volt today still works with like the EG4,
Mm-hmm.
but it's open loop. And so you
Mm-hmm.
have to program the capacity. This is going to have closed loop communication. It has closed loop communication in 24 and 12, but those the 48 volt version. So we're going to have two 48 volt versions, one for high power golf cart, one for inverter communication. And again, the 48 volt that's golf cart today, that can be used with inverters today, and it is being used for a lot of them are being used with inverters today. It's just that closed loop is coming soon.
Okay, well, switching to 48 volt inverters, let me ask you this. We've talked about this being a mobile application battery. What about a permanent residence type battery solution?
Yeah, so we have been building batteries for off-grid for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
and this battery is very popular. It doesn't, knowing the design, once you do that, the manufacturing cost of building a product that is mobile capable and stationary is about the same. You've got to go through the design work. So this is priced extremely competitively, so it's used in off-grid application also. It's very popular in off-grid cabin and tiny home. So it's a very popular battery for that. Yeah.
How many of these can you parallel?
You can parallel 16 in communication. So there's 2 ports, so you can just daisy chain the communication to the next battery, and it has a Bluetooth app, so you can set the ID so you know which battery is what on your chain. So each one of them has a Bluetooth ID right here, so you can tell which battery you're connected to, and then you can program that in. So
capable of lots of power.
Yeah, lots of power.
Very cool. Well, we're really out of time, but finish this sentence for me, Marshall. If you're planning an off-grid adventure and don't bring a Husky2, you might
run out of power.
Okay, that works for me. Well, Marshall, thanks for walking us through how reliable the Husky2 can be, especially in adventures and off-grid freedom, and to power those things that we depend on for our medical things as well. Hey, and thanks to all of you who joined us and joined in on the conversation. If you're thinking about adding the Husky2 to your setup or just want to learn more, visit us at signaturesolar.com, and don't forget to check out our 24 volt and 48 volt bundles to help making your setup easy and reliable. Excuse me. We'll see you next time as we continue our mobile solar series right here next week on Amp Up Solar Talk.